And I feel like there are so many women that are like, well, I can't do that until I've earned it. And I feel like we are editing ourselves out of spaces, and we should be taking more risks and trying to like be bad at stuff.
Girl. Hello, everybody. We just saw the trailer to Side Quest, and now we are going to talk to the creative team behind the show. We have Ganz, executive producer, Genevieve Jones, also executive producer, Katie McElhenney, co-creator and executive producer, and Ashley Burch, the other co-creator and executive producer. Thank you all for joining me today to talk about the show.
Thank you for having us. A lot of executive producers.
I know. So Side Quest clearly has a large presence of women. Don't know if you've noticed. Is that something that was just kind of fell together?
You mean in terms of this panel? All these many executive producers?
The presence of all of you working on this project.
Well, we had too many talented women on Mythic Quest, and we were like, get them out. Can we give them their own show so we can move them around so the rest of us can...
Well, but this is very true, and I'm not saying this just because she's lovely and on the panel, but it's all of us coming up through the Mythic Quest pipeline was because Megan was the first showrunner that I had encountered, and she just created such an amazing experience for all voices in the room, but for female voices as well. You don't always find that. And so to be able to come into a creative space and know that your voice will be amplified, you will not be talked over, that your whatever you have to contribute is worthy because you have somebody who is helping to support you throughout it and showing her own vulnerability sometimes, and so feel, because there's days where you leave and you get into your car and you think like, well, that's it for me, that I won't be back. But to have somebody who is of an upper level than you, who's doing the job that you want to do, who then comes in and says, I got my car, and said, well, that's it for me. And so it felt like just this wonderful kinship. So it's not surprising that we were able to have this many women in Side Quest because of the phenomenal women that we worked with on Mythic Quest.
How does it feel? It's so complimentary.
It feels really good because, like, I have to say, when I started out in the business, like, I was very lucky to have, like, one other woman in the room with me. Like, that was the standard. There'd be, like, one other woman. And so by the time that I became a showrunner, I'd never worked for a woman before. I'd never had a female boss. So it was interesting for me to take over that role and be like, how do I do this? Like, how do I responsibly do this having not seen it before? And I just was like, what kind of boss would I want to have? And, you know, and I wanted like an open door policy with people, but I also really wanted to create a space where I was like, I'm not just trying to make you writers, I would love to make you showrunners. I would love for you to experience as much of the process as possible so that you could then go replicate it and be your own boss. Because although having a bunch of new women in the industry is great, if they all stay at the bottom, then no change happens. And what I felt like was happening a little bit was that women were just rotating in bottom positions. And so it was like really a part of this, which was like, I tried to always make it, hey, if you want to know how any other part of this process works, you just ask me, because you can sit next to me in the edit bay, you can see all of this stuff, because I really wanted to have them have the experience so that they could go do their own show. And truly, Side Quest, like, they took that and they ran with it. There was no oversight. They were running the room. And when I'm watching those episodes, it was so touching to me because I'm like, first of all, it's great to watch stuff that you didn't do because you could just like watch it. But also I was like, oh, they're nailing it. Like there's just the emotional pull, like all of the things that I feel like on Mythic Quest we really cared about. You guys brought all of those things over and then did it in your own way. So it's just like, it's amazing. It's like, it's such a, like, if I would have exited the industry a few years ago, I think I would have had a much worse opinion of it. But the last few years have been just like phenomenal for that reason.
Well, for young women and girls who maybe don't have direct access to you, do you have advice for how they could pursue jobs in creative and positions of leadership, just long-standing careers and not get stuck at the bottom?
Yeah, well, actually something interestingly that I think our Ubisoft friends were like talking to us about once was that they notice when they get a lot of applications for a position from men and women, that the women's applications will tick every single box. Like if the job says it requires these things, every female application will be like, I have all of those things. And a lot of the men will just be like, yeah, I have a couple of those things, but I don't have enough. They'll take bigger flyers on like, hey, I think I could do that. So I'll just show and I feel like there are so many women that are like, well, I can't do that until I've earned it. And I feel like we are editing ourselves out of spaces, and we should be taking more risks and trying to like be bad at stuff, because only in being bad at something can you learn how to be better at it. So I think like that wasn't possible a number of years ago because you had to be perfect in order to stick around. I think that's changed. And so I would just encourage people to like make mistakes, try things that they might not think they're any good at, but like go for it anyway. And also like my general thing for everybody is like just follow your obsession, because if you get into a job, you don't just want any job, you want something you're going to be really good at and something you can care about all the time. So I like followed stuff that I lived and breathed and loved, and that was like nerdy humor stuff, and that's how like I ended up here doing this, and it's been absolutely great. But I think like really finding that like obsession and geekiness within yourself, and like what do you bore other people talking about? That's the thing you should be doing.
All right. Well, I'm out of time, but I'm going to ask one more question, because you told me the other women in this junket weren't doing that, and I'm very inspired, Megan.
Flax were probably made by a man anyway. Just go for it.
What is something you're proud of with the launch of this show, and is there something that you hope people take away from it?
Oh my God, I'm just so proud that it's coming out and that it exists. I mean, when did we pitch this? 2022? So it's been a long journey, you know, a couple strikes, and so I'm so grateful it's coming out. And what I really hope with this show more than anything is that people see themselves in it, because we really tried to create authentic stories that resonated with us and that we hope resonate with other people, because that, I think, to us collectively, it's like the reason you tell stories, you know? We went through pains to make every episode, you know, funny and entertaining, but also really say something and mean something. So I really hope that people feel seen when they watch the show.
Yeah, I mean, I'm proud of the work that we did on it, because it is hard. It's hard to have meetings where people are asking you 1,000 questions and you have to have answers for all of them, and the ego you have to let go, and then the ego you have to keep to know I can do this. I can do this job, but I also know that I can't do it by myself. So being able to assemble a team together to help it all come to fruition has been amazing. So I'm proud that we stuck with it, and then there were a lot of bumps to kind of overcome, but we did it, and I think we've come out with something really great.
Absolutely. I'm so proud of the work that you all have done, and I remember when we did the first episode, Anna Kunkel, who was on Pen 15 and ran Pen 15, and then Derek, who ran his own show as well. We had 2 stars who were showrunners, and they came to you guys and said, this is such an extraordinarily run set, and we feel so included, and we can just tell everybody wants to be here. And it like took those, it was very cool having been in your seat, getting to reflect back to you what an amazing environment you made for them to create in, but also just what an awesome job you were doing. I thought
And they said that
really
just
cool.
while we were all stress eating Pop-Tarts.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Right. Just get back on set.
Yeah, and I have to say, Ashley and Katie and John are like what I'm most proud of. We always knew that they were capable of doing something like this. That's why we had them in the room. They were always like our strongest writers that we'd always turn to. And then seeing them venture out on their own and create something so special, and get the experience of all that show running, so that now when they come back to Mythic Quest, they can be like, wow, your job is hard. And it is. No, I think they knocked it out of the park, and they gave themselves a really tough mission, because they basically wrote 4 pilots, which I would never do again. Having written 1 is enough for a lifetime. So it's just incredible what they've been able to do, and I'm so proud of them and so excited for them to get their chance to shine.
Well, this is it. Thank you all for joining me today, for going overtime with me today. I appreciate you all. Thank you so much. Megan, Genevieve, Katie, Ashley. Side Quest will be dropping on Apple TV Plus on March 26th.